Welcome in, everyone, to Life Without Limits, where there are no limits to what you can achieve. I am your host, Joan Kaler, and this podcast is amazing. Just to give you a brief introduction of myself, I'm a licensed therapist in the United States. I am an EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques Advanced Practitioner with EFT International, and I do counseling and consulting all over the world. So be that as it may, now we're going to go into the podcast. Oh, wait till you meet my guest. I'm going to read the bio first. Can you tell I'm excited? Yes, I'm excited. Okay, so I'm going to go to the bio here. Her name is Sejual Shah. She is an EFT International Trainer of Trainers. I mean, we are at the mountaintop here in EFT land, and practitioner in the United Kingdom. She uses EFT with executives for career growth and confidence issues. Since 2008, she has pioneered ways of delivering tapping courses for performance issues in the workplace to large companies. I'm telling you, she has had great success delivering these at home and abroad. She loves mentoring other practitioners to develop their EFT businesses. She has also developed Business Energetics, which combines family constellation principles with EFT for business issues. And all this will be in the iTunes description. However, I want you to know it all now, too. I'm going to share her website, the whole bowl of apples here. Her website is healthyinmind.com. Oh, and she's my new mentor, too. Wait till you meet her. Oh, my gosh. So, Sejual Shah, welcome into Life Without Limits. Thank you so much for joining me today and all my listeners and watchers on YouTube.
Thank you, Joan. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh. So, everyone, we are going to record 3 podcasts. Now, I think you all know that is my thing, to record 3 different topics. In this first podcast with Sejual, we are going to discuss business energetics. Okay? So, needless to say, Sejual, what are business energetics?
It's one of these odd things where I stumbled upon it quite by accident. So I started my full-time EFT business back in 2006. I was a lawyer and I just came across EFT in my time of need. So thought I was at a time where I could take a career break, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go. So 2006 I started, and then this came along, business energetics came along around 2009. So business energetics is a combination of EFT tapping with something called Family Constellations, specifically for business issues. Where we have an entrenched problem in our business or career, what business energetics does is it provides a frame that we can start looking at the issue from an angle and a perspective that we might not have considered. There is a lot of kindness and compassion in this tool. So if I back up and just explain briefly what Family Constellations is, that might help in explaining this frame, because I'm just assuming that most of your listeners are familiar with EFT, so I'm not going to.
The general population, but especially for the business community, it's important, because if they have heard of EFT, they probably think, well, that is so strange, that's so weird, that's so woo-woo. How in the world would it apply to me, let alone my business? So go ahead and explain it for the business community.
Great, that's a good steer. So Emotional Freedom Techniques is a mind-body approach to lastingly releasing pent-up nervous energy. So we regulate the parasympathetic part of the nervous system and help move forward from the confusion and the emotional congestion that comes up when we are dealing with issues that trouble us. And as we do that in a very respectful way, what happens is that a new, better clarity emerges. So we can strategize, problem solve, approach issues constructively, and with a huge amount of dignity and respect to others and ourselves. So inherently, EFT is a way forward through what seems an impassable situation.
Beautifully put. Yes.
Thank you. So if I come back to this frame that Family Constellations provides, that might add to our conversation. So EFT is fantastic for dialing down the stress. However, there can be underlying issues where we struggle to make headway and we just can't see the wood for the trees. This is where Family Constellations comes in.
Yes.
Family Constellations is another modality, and it draws from tribal wisdom. The creator of Family Constellations is a man called Bert Hellinger, and he was a Christian missionary who in the 1950s went from Germany to South Africa. He was in charge of over 150 schools there. He inherently went to bring Christianity to people there. What seemed to happen was he actually was inspired by tribal wisdom shared kindly by elders there, who helped him start to frame things, back to this word frame, in ways that were so helpful. He found that the elders drew on the unconditional love and support of ancestors, people who had moved on, and their loving regard brought a huge amount of insight into problems that beset German culture post-war and to other areas of life. So he went back to Germany in the 70s, and he was drawing on other modalities, psychodrama, hypnosis, and other tools. And he created this unified approach, which is called Family Constellations, where looking at an issue and from the loving regard of insights and support that ancestors bring, we actually gain a huge amount of insight into the conflicts that have led up to that problem. So to put this in context, Hellinger had a huge amount of success with people who were suicidal, who were experiencing a huge amount of abuse in the family, physical violence, and some of the conflicts undeniably arose from conflicted relationships during the wartime era in Germany. And bringing, not condoning any of those acts of atrocity, but bringing kindness, compassion, and healing allowed modern day beings who had been born post-war to release the burden of that energy from the past. So in 2009, I was working with someone else and just developing ideas around this, informed by our research into family constellations. And what we found was that there was no expression for business issues.
Yes.
In addition, we found that EFT was the salve to very gently release turbulent emotions. With EFT, we could so gently and easily release distress that was pent up in the nervous system. So we actually combine this sort of framing activity with the release effect that EFT gives. And we started sharing it with our clients. I was sharing it with groups I ran, and very startling experiences started showing up. It was sort of jaw-dropping to have a client work with me in a group, and we knew in advance that she had a meeting lined up with her boss soon after our call. And she left our call, and we'd worked on that relationship. She reported next week in the group that in that call, her boss had offered to double her hours and her salary. And she just hadn't been expecting that.
Wow.
And she attributed it to our work.
Yes.
There was another client of that era who had a old business relationship that was still problematic, and she had moved on, started her new business, but there were still elements of problem from that old relationship that were affecting her thinking. And we worked on those problems. She went on to have a coffee and a chat with her old colleague, and the colleague was able to, her whole attitude and bearing had changed, and she actually helped my client formulate a new business name and a new direction for herself.
Oh, see, that's fantastic. Yes, I think that is a missing piece. Well, of course, everyone in the business world, I shouldn't say that. Some people in the business world don't understand the power and significance that EFT, emotional freedom techniques, and then the combination of family constellation has got to, that's EFT on steroids, combining those two to help people shift their energy, shift their perspective, let go of anticipatory anxiety, let go of past business traumas. How marvelous, how wonderful to be able to have a new tool. Wow, it's very exciting. Thank you for creating this.
I don't know how I created it. In honesty, I didn't go looking to create a modality. It kind of came knocking on my door, and every time I think about what I'm doing, there's the next evolution of sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's kind of a theme with this modality, that it's not a pressurized, forced pathway. So this approach may appeal to those who are tired of banging their head against a wall, a door that doesn't seem to open. And instead, actually, there is an energy of surrendering here in a most positive way, that where you're not fighting yourself, you actually calm down your nervous system. And as a result, quite logically, you are far more aware using your ordinary senses. What is around me that I can move forward with? What action can I take that's productive? But it's incredibly easy. I'm a big fan of the word ease, and that comes from a person who grew up with a hard work ethic background. That for all my academic achievements and my significant career achievements before I started EFT, it was all a bit hard work, and I'm not sure what for. There's a kind of emptiness to hard work, which is really painful.
Well,
Whereas now,
I find if I don't feel joy in my work, then there's no point in it. Podcasting for me is like going into the sandbox with someone and playing with them, learning something, joining in with their energy. Podcasting is so much fun. So that's part of play for me. But even when I'm helping my clients, I'm usually in a state of compassion and joy to help them. Someone said to me the other day, Joan, how can you listen to people's problems all day? And I said, well, I listen, but then I always hold the space for something more. I hold the space for healing, because I've seen it over and over again, for someone to have a problem, be in despair, and then the clouds open and they feel hopeful. They find solutions, they proceed with solutions, they get courage, and they move ahead with their life. So that is so exciting with me. As far as family constellations are concerned, whoa, I've participated myself in about 7 constellations. I've had 2 done for me, and I had the honor of doing a podcast with Mark Boleyn, who is in San Francisco. You and he are carrying Bert Hellinger's work forward into the world. I think, oh my gosh, what a kind genius Bert Hellinger was. I never, of course, met him, but his work is phenomenal. And I tell people all the time, I quote Mark's book, "It didn't start with you." And tell them all the time, this doesn't necessarily have, your problem didn't necessarily start in your lifetime. It's probably a generational thing that happened many generations before you. And we can take a look at that. So bringing those into business, how powerful is that?
It's deceptively powerful. It's not where you would think to go.
Right.
I remember when I started my business, there was a nervousness in my system about what it meant to be in business. So most Indian origin families in the UK, they immigrated sometime between, say, the 50s and the 70s for various reasons, escaping persecution or hardship. And there's a whole history of colonialism from Britain in East Africa, which is where a lot of Indian origin people came from. And my family, all my cousins, were very much encouraged to follow careers that were established as lawyers, accountants, doctors, because they're very settled and safe and secure.
Mm-hmm.
Being in business was dangerous because of the uncertainty. And there was a history in my family background of bankruptcy. And I was incredibly aware of that when I started my business. So I did EFT on my reaction to it, but it wasn't till I did some business energetics later on what it meant, how easy is it to thrive and succeed in business and not be dependent on a fixed salary income, knowing that things are settled. And that was an important switch. I think until I'd laid that to rest in my nervous system, there was a bit of a shadow there of, was I actually living a hand-to-mouth existence?
Okay. Interesting. Yes. And how many people out there, are living paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth, thinking that they're putting hours and hours of work, and they're feeling frustrated, they're feeling scared. It doesn't have to be that way.
No, and I think this is about empowering ourselves as individuals so that we actually release that perception, that energy from our nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, and I've seen this with clients where they're fighting their background, their past history, and their recent history. And it's like trying to move forward whilst in a straitjacket. There are
Yes.
things that, yeah, they feel their hands are tied.
How many times, and I'm sure you heard this yourself, how many times have people come and say, well, my father struggled and his father struggled and my mother struggled, and that's just the way it is in our family. Everyone struggles. And then I go, no, you can break that pattern. Plus, do you want your children to struggle also? If not for you, if you want to struggle, I wish you wouldn't, because I can help you with that. But then do you want to pass that legacy on to your children so that they have to struggle too?
Yes.
Now is the time to break that pattern.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think the other side of the coin is that once someone achieves meaningful success, if there is still stuff that hangs over them, they're actually looking over their shoulder and worrying, when is this going to fall apart? How long will this
Oh,
last?
okay, right.
I think I was listening to someone in the public eye just recently, and they'd made it big, but that was something they said in a recent interview, that they were haunted by the prospect of how long could they sustain this.
Oh my goodness. How about for the rest of their lives and even bigger?
Indeed.
There was never a question. I was blessed because I knew what I wanted to do at an early age. There was
Brilliant.
never a question for me that I was going to help people. So I proceeded with that. Just had some wonderful experience, read some wonderful books at an early age, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So here I am, and I am so blessed and thankful to also not only be a therapist, but to be able to reach out to people around the world. Technology, I'm known as a geek with a heart.
How fun. Great.
Technology has blessed us so much. Sejual, I want to share your website with everyone. And everyone, you know, this is only part one, so we're going to be going on to another fascinating topic. But let me go ahead and share Sejual's website. Here we go. Okay, coming, share, share, share. Ta-da! Let's open this up. Look at this, everyone. Is this not beautiful or what? Healthy in mind and hey, this online business epigenetics workshop. Sejual, you probably won't have to market this anymore, but I just signed up for this, everyone.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you.
Sign up today because space is limited. But going down here, watching her video blog, she really has it all together. Let me tell you what, I'm going to study this, and my webmaster's going to be thrilled if I come up with one more idea. Oh, I'm just absolutely thrilled. So there's home. Let's see. Sejual. I mean, including the fact that she's absolutely brilliant. Over in the UK, attorneys are called, is it barista? Is that how
Barristers.
Barrister. Not,
Yeah.
She doesn't make coffee and tea.
I make a mean mocker.
Barrister. Oh, Joan.
It's like a litigator.
Okay, thank you. See what I mean? I mean, oh my gosh. And then to be a barrister, then to find emotional freedom techniques and family constellations are, I'm telling you, we're at the mountaintop here. But she is amazing. I'm just meeting her for the first time today. And she's one of my new mentors for sure. Sejual, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to add about business energetics before we start on the next topic?
I love that you brought in the fun vibe, and that is a key part of it. I have so much fun, and the response I get is that people have fun.
Wonderful. Well, I can't wait to have more fun for sure. So I want to thank everyone who's watching and listening. And just to keep you posted here, where did I go with that? So then, okay, now, so I closed that down. Hold on, folks. The next topic is going to be, relationships are the core problem. Okay, of in leadership and business. So hold that thought, everyone, because we're coming back to life without limits, because there are no limits to what you can achieve. If anyone needs to contact me, joankaylor.com, Kaylor, or joan@joankaylor.com. I am here to assist as well. All right, Sejual, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Stay
Joan.
tuned, everyone. We're not done yet.